Hi everybody. Sorry it's been a little while. It's been a crazy few weeks. I had an open house with some friends and some clients I haven't seen for a long time. And I also had a garage sale um, this past weekend. That's really hard actually because I have some really nice stuff. And it's stuff I would just never see myself. Like, I'm sure that everybody has some things they just love. And there were pieces of jewelry that I did not mean to have out. And somebody had something in their hand that was, oh, I just couldn't snatch it up out of their hand. I just said to myself, you know what? Emotionally, I'm saying goodbye. And I can't take any of it with me anyway. So I thought, chances are you hadn't worn it for the last year, you're probably not going to wear it again. So, but that's really hard. I mean, a garage sale is, you look forward to getting rid of your stuff that you don't want, but you don't look forward to getting rid of the stuff you do want. Fortunately, I don't know, I found some peace in knowing that some pieces went to people that really wanted them, and I was going to love them as much as I do. At the open house and other times, I had a few items set aside for certain people. In any case, I just wanted to explain I hadn't been in touch for a long time, but I'm feeling pretty good. I started my medication, trametinib, which is generic, or I guess that's the brand of Mechanist. Mechanist seems to be the actual medication. And so far so good. I've had a couple of symptoms, very light, but they say it takes a few weeks before that actually sets in. So I'm trying to just monitor things, but okay. So if this slows the growth, I'd be very happy. Anyway, today I wanted to talk to the newly diagnosed, or maybe family members of the newly diagnosed, because I've been through this a couple times now. My first diagnosis was at 40, and it was a very different situation that it is now. So I can relate to, not every cancer, there's no one size fits all. And everybody's circumstances are going to be different. But there are some things that I might be able to help you anticipate, okay, regardless of the cancer you have or your loved one has. The first time I was diagnosed, we weren't looking for cancer. And I had surgery for what they thought was just a benign cyst on my ovary, and turns out it was cancer. So when I went up for my follow-up from my surgery, it was just like I got hit right in the gut. My then husband and I, really, it just took us a while. We were just numb, because that's the last thing I expected. And took us a few days to adjust. We didn't tell anybody right away. And I suggest that. Whether you were expecting it or whether you got sticker shock. Neither way is really fun. This time when I was diagnosed, my now husband, we were expecting it. We didn't talk a whole lot about it. And I think that that's in some ways a good thing until you know what you're going to talk about, So the first time it was, okay, let's just get our ducks in a row and, see where we go from there. I happen to have a very rare ovarian cancer. And the first time around, I just followed what the doctors suggested in that path. I always recommend a second opinion. The first time around, I went for 3 opinions. maybe 4. And I ended up deciding that Georgetown University in DC was right for me. We had a little bit of a commute, but they had a great staff, and so the one thing you have to do after you get all of the emotion set aside, because that's really important to deal with that first, and then to talk to your family about it, and then I'll address that in a minute. But from a medical standpoint, it's really important that you're comfortable with every step. And I'll tell you what the hardest part is, was the last time and this time, the waiting. Because everything becomes a football minute. And you're just antsy the whole time. My second diagnosis, my most recent one, it was around Thanksgiving that I felt like a little stirring in my abdomen, and so I was getting regular scans. So I did not really expect much else because the scans had been clear till then. And so I had the scan. It was around, I could just to get a scan. I mean, 20 years ago, because I'm 60 now, 20 years ago, you get a doctor's appointment, okay, you go. There was still waiting, but not like now. You can't even hardly get a scan of any kind without a wait, unless, depending on where you live, of course. But I was waiting, got the scan maybe a week before Christmas, and I got an ultrasound which was saying there was something wrong. Now we need to get a PET scan. Okay. And that wasn't scheduled until January. But meantime, I have Christmas, right? And I had Christmas at my house. And there was no way we were going to talk about this because I didn't have a diagnosis yet. In my heart, I knew it. I think that my husband knew it as well. I just had that feeling, and it turned out to be true, but I didn't find out for like at least a month. And then I decided this time, because it was a recurrence, I decided to just get, I got one other opinion that was local, and I didn't go crazy looking at the Mayo Clinic or John Hopkins and all those things that I did the first time, because they know a lot more about my cancer now than they did then. So I was comfortable with it. And it really wasn't the doctor that I cared about as far as getting a second opinion. It was actually where I was going to get treatment. And that's very important, because somebody said to me, well, I said, I like this doctor. And they said, yeah, but you're going to see the doctor just a few times. If you go through chemo, it's the front line. They're all going to take care of you. So you have to be happy with the center that you get the chemo from. And so I actually toured the one that I had an appointment at, and I was like, no, that's not for me. I didn't feel I could thrive there. And so I did have to change doctors in order to change the cancer center I went to. You have to be proactive. We've all heard manage your own health care. This is where it really counts. If you have a doctor you absolutely adore and trust, but you don't have like a routine oncologist like you do a GP. So you have to either interview them, or they have to come highly recommended. In any case, I was, and I have been, very happy both times with who's treating me. But then you get to, that's the medical part of it. And when something doesn't work, like my chemo didn't work, then you have to really trust, that's when you trust the doctor, to give you some advice. And what I love about my doctor is she said, well, we could try one of these 2 pills as like a targeted therapy. And she said, do your research and come back to me and we'll talk about it. I actually didn't like either option, so we went with surgery, but then the surgery didn't work, so then I picked a pill, which I just started. In any case, so the medical thing rolls along and you're going to get lots of advice along the way. I mean, everybody wants to help when they find out that you're sick, you know, and and they're not, unless they're a doctor, you know, nobody will do as much research on cancer than you. None of your friends, none of your family, unless they've been there. So take everything lightly. Don't just jump on the apricot seed wagon or the turkey tail mushrooms. Always talk to your doctor about taking any herbs or anything like that. Okay, now let me back up. When you're first diagnosed and you get past that, oh my gosh, you start thinking about, your head just goes a mile a minute. And you start thinking about the worst case scenario, the best case scenario. Who needs to know first? It doesn't always have to be in the importance order, but you know, immediate family is most important, I would think. And then after that, just, you know, I put it on Facebook to tell the rest of the world. But that's just my choice. I know a lot of people, I have a lot of friends and clients, and I don't want to repeat myself too many times. It does get a little bit too much. But immediate family, that's a rough one, you know. Everybody has a different family. Families as different as cancers, you know, so I couldn't tell you how you should do it. But I wouldn't just blurt it out, you know, just like kind of start with, I got some news from my doctor, because I've seen that happen, and that's not always a good thing either. I would love to hear your comments below. If you have any tips, maybe you can share with others in the comments. But I think that those are very important, that you nurture yourself, you let your family know. And if you're a giver and you've never felt comfortable taking, this is a life lesson for you. Know when to give but know when to receive, okay? Like maybe it's your turn, and be humble about it. Just take it. Another thing is, if you know enough people and you have a GoFundMe account, can help if you can't work. And those are the things you need to talk to your doctor about. Like your particular cancer and your particular treatment. Are you able to work through it? And if you're not, then you might need to look at funding and social services. There is Social Security disability, depending on your situation. And there's charitable organizations. So I ran into a lot of that. And there's also, you know, the social services that can help get your bills paid. Because I've always been an advocate as to nobody should really have to worry about anything but getting better. And the first time around, we were living in an area where we didn't know a lot of people. There was limited help, and like maybe a weekly lasagna, that's not really going to help. And we found the resources, you know, but I'm just letting you know that, you know, you may be a person that's never needed those resources, but I'm just assuring you that they are available. Everything from the social services, government agencies, to churches, you know, and lots of charitable organizations to help you with your electric bill, and other utilities, as well as food banks. Hopefully you'll never have to get to that point, but it's important to know what's there. It's very important that you have your resources. Even somebody had given me great advice to connect with a palliative care team to manage my pain. And I was like, but I'm not in pain yet, you know, and maybe later. I mean, my cancer is terminal at this point. But no, they said, no, you should get it before you actually need it. That way you're not starting from the consult. So I did that, and I'm really glad I did that, because I don't see them very often, but kind of just, you know, take care of business and then tuck it away. Also, I would also recommend keeping like a binder of some kind, with notes or contacts, or maybe even something virtual or digital, because I'm always thinking notes and writing things down, but this way, if somebody needed a doctor's phone number, they don't have to go on your computer, so that's a good thing to share with your family. Also, get a DNR. It's really scary stuff, but even if the cancer doesn't seem aggressive or whatever, we should have it anyway. Have a DNR on file and just give it to your doctor. They'll scan it in and they'll have it just in case. It's very important to connect with your loved ones on your wishes. And I'm going to talk about that in a different video, how to talk about cancer or communicate to others, and also what to expect as far as reactions. You'll be surprised. All right, until then, thanks for hanging in with me. If you didn't click that button yet, I want you to have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is where you are and when you're looking at this. I want you to feel blessed and be blessed, and I will do the same, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.